It's dark. I'm sitting in a room along with few people, and what I'm describing can truly be called to be a ghost story, because it is a ghost story. There's no light, and we are having our mobiles, but everyone is glued to each and every word that I say. Sometimes it's the story of a boy with no face. It's written by Ruskin Bond, and the story goes like there was a professor, there was a professor of an institute who happens to go via route, and he returns to his home during the evening, and he follows a route. One day, urgent work is impended upon him, and after completing the work, he realizes it's all lit, and he returns, and he doesn't get the vehicle for traveling to his home. So he decides to take a different route. It's a short route, but it passes through the jungle. And when he passes so, he happens to the boy who's wailing, and he has his face hidden within his laps. He approaches the boy and said, "Hey son, what is the problem? Why are you crying?" He doesn't reply. He keeps wailing. He's crying. "Hey boy, just tell me, what is the problem? Maybe I can help you out." He keeps sobbing, and slowly he flattens his face, and it's right in the front of the professor. And there was a lamp in the hand of the professor, and he says, and he noticed there was no face. It was all bland, all plain. He loses nerves, and he throws the lamp, and he just runs away wildly. And he doesn't dare to look behind. He's out of his breath. He's running at his most potential. He's scared, and he runs for his life. In the distance, he notices a guard who is coming into his direction. He gets a sense of relief, and he recognizes him from the lamp he's carrying. He just reaches him, approaches him, and when he reaches, his lamp is in his hands on the lower side, and it was dark. And he starts explaining the incident to him, that I think I saw a boy behind, and what is really scary about him is there's no face. It's really weird. Can you please check what's that? He says, "Okay." And what face are you talking about? Was his face like him? And he raises his lamp, and to the horror of Professor, even the guard didn't have no face. Dark. The scene closes, story ends. Everyone had the goosebumps in my room. And imagine where the scene might be happening. It was in our office, and we have got a separate room from the main office where we two people sit, and along with some friends of us from the office who happens to visit us sometimes. And when it's dark, because there's no UPS power supply, so when the power goes out, it's all dark. There's no tube lights, no fans, nothing. It's the sheer silence and the moment to brood upon. And when it's so silent, it's such an attractive moment for discussing these ghost stories, because these stories can give you goosebumps and that kind of chill when it's the right moment. If it is told next to the chapel, where there is a graveyard on a thunderstorm outside, a rainy day and dark, and which is far away from the civilization, it will be much more scary, effective than if told on a sunny day next to the beach. So situations all matters. But again, I'm really surprised by this tendency of feeling something different when the ghost stories are told. Generally, I avoid watching the flicks because it gives more sort of visual imagination, not the imagination, visual to your brain, which unnecessarily gets disturbed. So I stopped watching movies, horror movies at all, and instead these stories which are more or less have been witnessed by someone, or there are stories in some villages. These kind of stories doesn't go too far and just to prove their point. Just a little bit of experience. It can be a touch, it can be a blow of a wind, it can be those eyes, and there's so many things that can be uh, experienced. And I simply love this feeling because there's a little bit of chill in the gut that is different from what you can imagine, what you can feel in all the other kind of plots. Tickling that portion of brain and gut is a different experience in itself, and we do not miss these opportunities whenever such strikes. And this, I'll say, facility, this moment is not available in our main office, but in our branch office. I'll say this branch office, additional office, this moment comes time and again, and it's always utilized to the amusement of our colleagues and us. That's all from my side today. There you go. Bye. Take care.